Good evening, everyone. Tonight's story is about waking up in a world that no longer remembers you. A place where time moves differently, and where the truth may be far worse than any nightmare. Turn off the lights, sit back, and listen closely. 14-year-old Emily Carter never saw the car coming. One moment, she was stepping into the crosswalk after school. The next, there was blinding light, the roar of an engine, and then nothing. When she opened her eyes again, she was lying in a hospital bed. The room was dim, filled with the faint smell of antiseptic. Her arms were hooked to IVs, her head wrapped in bandages. Her body ached as if every bone had been broken. Emily remembered fragments, voices saying she was lucky to survive, doctors discussing months of recovery, her mother crying at her bedside. She thought she had drifted in and out for weeks, maybe a month. But when she sat up, the room was silent. Too silent. The monitor beside her bed was dark. The IV bag was empty, crusted at the edges. The fluorescent lights above buzzed faintly, but no footsteps echoed in the halls. "Hello?" Her voice cracked. No answer. She tried again, louder. "Hello, is anyone here?" Her voice bounced back off the sterile walls. Nothing else. Emily pulled the IV from her arm, grimacing, and staggered to her feet. The hallway stretched before her, empty. Room after room stood open, beds made but no patients, no nurses, no one. A dinner tray sat untouched in the corner, the food molded. She searched every floor. The entire hospital was abandoned. At last she found the exit doors. They groaned as she pushed them open, the sound echoing through the empty halls. The world outside looked wrong. The parking lot was cracked, weeds pushing through the asphalt. No cars, no sound of traffic. The air was still, heavy. She stumbled down the street, her hospital gown fluttering around her. The town was there but not alive. Stores stood shuttered, windows broken. Traffic lights dangled over empty intersections. Mailboxes overflowed with yellowed letters. The wind carried scraps of newspapers with dates more than 20 years old. Emily's heart pounded. No, this isn't real," she called out, but the only reply was the rustle of leaves. For hours, she wandered the town until she reached a familiar street. Her street, her home. The house stood the same as she remembered, white siding, blue shutters, the porch swing her father built. Relief flooded her chest. She ran up the steps and knocked on the door. It opened slowly. A man stood there, middle-aged, tired eyes, holding a coffee mug. Behind him a woman appeared. Neither of them she recognized. "Yes?" the man asked cautiously. Emily's breath hitched. "This is my house. I live here. Where's my mom, my dad?" The woman frowned. "I think you're mistaken. We've lived here for 15 years. "No, that's impossible. I'm Emily Carter. I live here." The couple exchanged a look. Then the woman's gaze softened. "Honey, Emily Carter. The girl who was hit by a car in '98? I read about that. She never woke up." Emily staggered back. "No, that's not true. I'm right here." The woman's face turned pale. Her eyes scanned Emily from head to toe, and then softly she whispered, "Oh my God, look at you." Emily froze. She caught her reflection in the glass of the storm door. The face staring back wasn't 14 anymore. It was older, lined, worn with streaks of gray in her hair. She looked closer to 40. Her stomach dropped. "What's happening to me?" she whispered. She ran, through the empty streets, past the hollow buildings, until she collapsed at the steps of the old school she once attended. Inside, the classrooms were silent, desks gathering dust. On the chalkboard of her old homeroom, someone had written in jagged letters, "You don't belong here." Tears blurred her vision. She stumbled down the hall, only to hear footsteps behind her. She spun around. A man stood there, dressed in a doctor's coat, his face obscured in shadow. He didn't move, just stared. "Help me," Emily begged. "Please, what's happening? Where is everyone?" The man tilted his head, then spoke in a voice like cracking glass. "You were never supposed to wake up." The lights flickered and he was gone. Emily ran again, but no matter how far she went, the streets looped back to the same corners, the same houses, the same faces staring at her from windows. Faces of strangers who seemed to know her name, yet didn't. Days passed, or maybe hours. Time meant nothing. Hunger gnawed at her, but no food remained in the town. Her body ached, every step heavier. One night, she found herself back at the hospital doors. They were wide open as if waiting. Inside, the halls pulsed with faint light. The same doctor stood at the end, hand outstretched. "You don't belong here," he repeated. "It's time to go back." Emily wanted to scream, to refuse, but her body moved on its own. Darkness closed in. The next morning, in a real hospital in another city, a nurse gasped as monitors spiked. A woman, Emily Carter, age 39, opened her eyes for the first time in 25 years. She tried to speak, but her voice was weak, unfamiliar. In her mind, though, she still felt 14. Her parents were gone. The world had moved on, and the town she remembered was nothing but dust. That was tonight's story, the town that forgot her. What would be worse, waking up in a world that forgot you, or realizing you were never really gone at all? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.